Welcome everybody to another shot at home with Tess from WOS. So no one knows this, but it's our third take. We kind of had loads of trouble technically, not personally. Tess is doing an awesome job. She's always providing us with even more insights to bartending in Norway, and you missed all this. So and we're trying to wrap it up this time, being more restrained and not just having a very beautiful conversation. So I'm firing away with loads of questions. You probably are not expecting this, but I hope I can keep up with it. So Tess, thanks for joining us. It's very early. You live in a probably by standards for Norway, quite a big place, but compared to all other places, it's pretty small. Voss, 15,000 people, pretty small. In the middle, obviously, of Norway, and you have pristine waterways, and you got mountains, so you're going kayaking later. So to live in Voss, to have fun in Voss, you got to be an outdoorsy person. And for me, it's always the most baffling thing is the weather. Obviously, it's not what's affecting me when I go to the north during the summer. It is the light. It is there's no night. Literally, there's no night. And it's when you haven't experienced it, your body reacts to it. You really don't need that much sleep because it's always light. And it really is hard when you're used to I need to go to bed then, or I go up. It is so tough. And so we just joked about Tess is sleeping 2 hours during the summer and 15 hours during the winter. And I wanted to know, coming back to bartending, how does it affect people going into bars? Is it do you really have two seasons where you go in the winter, the people go more to bars than during the summer?
Well, Christmas season, pretty much anywhere else, I would think, November and December, people drink a lot more. Summer, people tend to gather in the park, in gardens, and if you have a nice outdoor area for your bar or restaurant, you're going to be busy, real busy. But people don't come indoors until late over summer, and they don't go home. So when you leave work, there's drunk people everywhere and no one's going home. Yeah. And winter's the opposite. You walk home from work and you have the city for yourself.
All right. I mean, for me, it's always this obviously it is get later dark and it's get earlier light at 4 o'clock in the morning in Germany. That is high summer for us. But it is not as weird because you still have a couple of hours really where it's dark, and that really helps with sleeping and everything. But when you come home from a bar shift, usually during the summer, I always have it's only daylight. That really is weird. But as you said, the people go outside and drink outside, they gather outside. Are there any restrictions, in Norway right now during the COVID, that the people are not allowed to gather in groups bigger than 5 or 10?
Yeah, so they're opening up more and more. We are now allowed to gather in groups of 50, but yeah, if it's at
one place, it's half of Norway in one place.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But you should still do the social distancing, which we are really good at because it's a part of our culture anyway.
So Norwegian people are no, very cool, keeping the distance anyway.
We're very shy.
How does it come that you're the most, sunshiny, smiling person I ever met, kind of, and you're saying that's part of your culture, being this kind of distancing. Already social distancing is in your second nature, but you are always very open and you're embracing, you're open for all cultures. Your English is totally pristine. It's not that you could say yeah, that's Norwegian. Definitely it's you could be anywhere, very cosmopolitan.
Oh,
Are you an exception to the rule, or like, you know, is it just like this kind of making fun of, like, you know, Norwegian character?
I come from a very small island. I come from an island where it lives about 1,000 people, and I am related to everyone. So, and the theory about why I'm always so happy, like I'm happy. I really enjoy living. But the theory I have is that my parents were very young and they were very much in love when they made me. They were like, they had me at 20 and they were like, yeah. So I think that's why. Yeah, they're different now. But you know, when you're young and in love.
No, but I mean, it's like, you know, that's, I mean, that's for me, like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, that this positivity is like, you know, in you, like, you know, all these years later, that's beautiful. And for me, that's just like one of the best messages, like, you know, during the whole time, because I'm always telling people, like, my young dog right now, he comes from a breeder who's a very experienced breeder, and all the dogs from this kennel, they are so trusting and they're so positive and they're embracing the world. That's the most beautiful thing. Like, you know, and I had, like, you know, rescue dogs. I had, like, you know, these, and that's like the best breeder ever. They're really, like, you know, they're so experienced, and all the dogs are just like, they're carrying these positivity into the world. It's just like trust in everything. It's beautiful. That's
Are you comparing me to your dog now?
no, definitely. I'm just, like, you know, comparing. I always, like, know that's very, like, you know, thin ice I'm skating on right now.
I'm joking. I love dogs. And
Um,
if I had a tail, it would be wagging.
yeah, I mean, for me, it will always be like that. But it's kind of like, you know, these positive approach to, like, you know, things, even when they're unknown. I love that. It's just, for me, it's the best. Um, since you kind of, you know, I think I'm not talking about your age now, and I won't trap into, like, you know, this.
Fine, you can ask.
You're already working, like, you know, for 15 years now in the bar business. Did you start it off as a bartender, or did you start it off, like, you know, working as a server?
Oh, I started on the floor. Like I really wanted to be a bartender. So it was when I was studying. Like I went to uni and I got a piece of paper saying that I'm educated, and on that paper it says I'm a teacher. Yeah. Uh,
What,
I, I love kids. I love working with them. But I hate school. It's a horrible thing.
like it? That's kind of like that gets in the way of being a teacher.
Yeah. So when I was studying, obviously I needed money and I was so shy, hey? Like, I remember my first shift behind the bar as a barback because yeah, like I come from a small island. We do a lot of social distancing in natural ways. And I'm behind this bar and suddenly someone's touching my shoulder, my elbow, because I'm in their way and they're like moving me. And afterwards I was like, oh my God, I've never been touched by strangers this much ever. But yeah, I had to work my way up, like first as a cleaner, then as a barback. And the third place I worked, I had two contracts. I had one as a bartender and one as a barback. And the bartender contract would only be valid if I made the big trial shift. So one day, one of my managers came in and he's like, "Okay, Tessa, today you're not barbacking." Well, obviously I had to do my pour test and have a 90 something, can't remember, percent correct. You can't tend the bar without it. And then he's like, "Okay, you've done your pour test. Now today is your trial shift." And I was like, fuck. And they put me on point on a Saturday night and I felt like I was swimming. I probably was swimming, but they gave me the job as a bartender. So since then, full time.
For me, like, you know, this kind of the beauty is, I mean, obviously, like, you know, it's always kind of like, you know, something I'm conflicted about because it used to be not that many bars and not really, like, you know, that many serious establishments. And over the last 10 years, we kind of, like, you know, are living in like, the golden age of bartending, kind of, where like, there are many bars, many serious like, concepts like, working everywhere. And they are very good bartenders, and they're very much like, sometimes fall into the hybris, like, kind of being too proud of themselves, like, and kind of like, about what they achieved. And you kind of like, you came up through the trenches, like, really worked your way up. What would you say is like, helped you most in this business, like, in terms of learning, like, really doing it, this repetition, or like, having an exposure to training and like, sessions where you have like, meeting brand ambassadors or outstanding bartenders, whatever. What was the most influential? What helped you most?
This nightclub that I was working when I was very young, we got tested on cocktails every week. We got tested on cocktails, products, and we had to pass our tests. If not, we weren't allowed to go behind the bar. And I know so many cocktails that I've never made. But if someone one day comes to the bar, the chances are that I remember it.
Out of this huge collection of drinks you never made, I mean, for me, for example, like, I had my first menu, like, 1999, I had in Alaska, like, obviously a drink with chartreuse. And at that time, no one ordered it. And I was so in love with this drink. And I really tried to entice people to get this drink, right? Kind of like that, but never.
No.
Then I stopped working with a menu in 2006. Like, no Alaska ever sold, right? So, and now everyone goes crazy about this drink, and I feel like, I don't want to make this drink.
You could have had it for so many years.
I wouldn't never ever do this drink, right? Kind of like that, because I feel cheated. Like, I was in love with this drink, and no one wanted it. So out of this kind of like, obviously everyone got this kind of like, I learned this drink, or like, did you just learn the recipes, or did you have to execute the drinks like practically as well?
I just had to learn the recipes. Now this was a challenge, because when I finished my degree, I went to London.
So your degree is in hating school, being a teacher, hating being
loving kids, hating school.
Yeah.
School is a trap. They take away your own thoughts and they conform you. It's horrible. You can cut that out. I shouldn't be saying that shit. Oh, you fuck it. No, and then sorry. I moved to London, and this was so funny, because in Manhattan, I had it down, sweet, dry, perfect, like memorized a million times, never failed, but I never made one. And I remember the faces. I was working in a bar, and I was actually working with Eric Lawrence and Marion Becker.
All right.
And I was working with these guys, and I'm like a little bartender from Norway, and yes, I know my specs. But did I ever make the cocktails? Mm-mm. And then I got the Manhattan. I was like, well, no, we did a cocktail run through of the menu, and the bar manager, he's like, so is there anything you guys wanna make? And I'm honest, and I was like, hey, I never made a Manhattan before. And everyone's like looking at me like I'm a stranger. But
I totally can picture this. That made an impression. Like,
so yeah, I got to make a Manhattan with those guys. So I probably learned it pretty well.
All right, good. No, I guess like now, I would love to hear the recipe, because like now, obviously, my place was always called Manhattan, like now for the place in New York and to drink, right? So that was like, kind of like that was the name of my bar, Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to hear the recipe you executed, like now with Eric and Marianne.
I remember I grabbed the Woodford Reserve.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of bourbon or like rye, but Woodford, yeah. So I grabbed that bottle. and then the bitter bottle and sweet vermouth, because I made it sweet. I don't like perfect Manhattan. Well, I didn't know that then. And I don't like it dry. Like, I like it sweet. But yeah, I made a sweet Manhattan, but they helped me a lot. Like, a lot. They showed me everything. And
Yeah, I mean, I totally like, I guess like, this in the beginning when you kind of, just learn like, by heart the recipes, and then you come to these kind of like, rather boring, like, 3 ingredient, where just like, these slightest attention to actually makes a big difference.
oh yeah,
But the drink still looks the same. So it's kind of like, for you, it's really like, in the beginning when you don't have a feeling for like, the taste and flavor, like being inherent in all these like, differences. And it feels like almost something superstitious when the people talk about, now I only go for this vermouth, and you feel like, oh, wanker, right? Because you don't have on your palate this experience that
yeah.
actually does make a difference, right? And you feel like, no, oh, pretentious slob. I hate you already, kind of. And then it really is like, kind of like, the next learning stage when you actually realize that in these drinks, the beauty is not how many ingredients you've got, but
Yeah.
how you can actually tweak and bring out like, these different flavors in the ingredients. That's like, definitely beautiful. Yeah. So, but when you started, I mean, obviously, you were a young lady, and 15 years ago, there weren't that many ladies behind the bar, like, and it definitely changed over the last couple of years. But how was it like, was it ever like, something you felt like, now I'm pushed in this kind of like, specific corner, or I'm reduced to something, or it makes me extra special, or like, was it something like which kind of had an impact on your career or how you worked, or is it something where you would say like, no, I'm just a bartender, like, that's like neutral?
That's a tough question, Nils. Definitely being the only female, like, people say some weird shit. They treat you differently, and yeah, we do treat people differently. It was hard, but I loved it. I thrived on the resistance. I thrived on people expecting me to fail, and
I mean, do you think that they like, expected you to fail kind of like, more intensely because you were like, um, female, or did they just expect you to fail because you were just like, so
young.
freaking like, cheerful? I hate cheerful person,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so imagine
Right?
when 15 years ago, I was a little bit of a babe. You know, young, big smile, blonde hair, tits, and I laugh a lot. So people are like, "Oh my god, she's dumb."
Shit ever on 2 legs, like, there she comes.
She's not real bright, is she? As in the beginning, I find it really hard because, like, yeah, I'm not dumb. And I was so used to having great grades at school, and then people started talking to me like I was an idiot. Um, but it didn't take me a very long time until I used that for my advantage. Because being the underdog, when someone really don't think that you're gonna deliver, you will always blow their mind, both in competitions and behind
So
the.
basically, I like this kind of prejudiced, mindset of like a male establishment, make it easier for you to kind of like actually perform, like
Well, they didn't have any expectations. They thought I was like just entertainment. Oh, she's cute.
yeah, she turned up. Who brought this broad, right? Kind of like, no, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh wow, there's a girl. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Thanks for turning up.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, good. So, and how do you see it? Like, this kind of like, obviously, I would say that there is a development, and like, always looking at countries, like, there's always in some places there's still like, a minority for sure, and then like, in other places, it's kind of, almost like, coming to an equal, like, setup. So how do you see that, like, for Norway, and then like, internationally, the way you are connected to other ladies in the industry and other guys in the industry? Has it, like, is this a positive development, or is it just like more like a fashion?
Oh no, we have some badass bartenders yeah, female bartenders in a way. They are absolutely amazing and they're kicking ass. We have Malin. She runs a bar in a restaurant called Nordøst up in Trondheim. She kicked ass at world class last year. We have Monica Berg. Everyone knows Monica. We have Anne Maurseth in Oslo. Like, we have these amazing female bartenders. Yeah, and in Norway, it's easier in Norway, I find, than many other places I've been, because we already have a culture where women are very much empowered. Um, yeah,
And it's
it's
a very small community. I mean, you kind of like, you are used to being like, with this kind of keeping a social distance, but you're still like, you know that you're depending on each other, and like, you're exchanging like, knowledge and expertise.
yeah, but also women have a real yeah, we're very equal here compared to many other countries. We still have a way to go, but yeah, they're pretty, like, Norwegian women are. They're
Very
hot,
much.
yeah, and respected, and on very much equal terms as the men. So having a female bartender here, actually, Marlin told me a story. She is the bar manager. She is one of Norway's finest bartenders, male or female, doesn't matter. And she had a trainee in her bar last summer, I think. And he was doing a follow shift with her. And this guy, like, these men, when they came to order, they would go consequently to the
That's right. He is a trainee.
yeah, and not him. So our guests have a different view on male and female bartenders, but the community of bartenders in Norway, I find that we are very much on the same level.
Yeah. I mean, when I started out with my place, it was like, there was this uproar, like, with Sean Schumann, like, saying in the film, like, that women don't belong in a bar, like, behind the bar. And I had that in my place as well, like, there were only like guys working, which is really like, kind of, I mean, obviously old school, like, it started in the 90s, so kind of like, yeah. So we're talking about a different age. But the argument I had was not, it was not that we had a problem with like working with a lady. It's like that guests don't know how to behave.
Mm.
Kind of like, that is like the biggest difficulty. It's like, it's not like, that we don't have this, like, environment. It's like that the drinking environment is like, not the best environment. Like, that's kind of like, that's the toughest challenge. That's like, that male guest got a problem to actually not just reduce you to like, blonde and tits, right?
Well, it's really depending on the person, really, I find. I've never had many, oh yeah, I've been harassed and stuff. But it's the way you deal with it. And I've been working, like, there's a little bar in Bergen that I worked for quite some time. It's called No Stress. I have a history of taking some dives where I hurt myself. And I'd fallen on my longboard and my shoulder was like super painful. So they're like, okay, today you're not going to be behind the bar, you're going to be at the door. And whenever I'm at the door, it's a lot easier for me to handle big drunken guys than it is for a guy.
Absolutely. Like, it's perfectly true. Yeah.
Very efficient doorman.
Yeah, I can like totally get it. And what I just like now realize is that in the end, what we always have to probably take as a community, that we don't get hung up on like the what, like that was everything. It's the how.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's a discussion. Obviously, it's not like, you know, can women be very good bartenders?
Yeah.
What we have to concentrate on is how, what we can do to kind of, you know, actually gives us room for, like, you know, these amazing people, right? No matter what sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
That what we should take away with it, like, you know, kind of, it's not the discussion about how, like, you know, got to be actually no discussion at all. It's got to be like, now we just, what is accepted, and what we need to provide is a natural how, like there's not thinking about it, just making it kind of like, you know, and the moment we reach that space, then I actually probably, like, you know, we conquered, like, you know, sexism, like, you know, which is a very big call, I know, but that would be like, you know, it's always like, you know, it feels so wrong that we actually still have, like, you know, discussion about this. So that's kind of like, you know, probably the worst thing. But anyway, what I want to kind of like, you know, want to know, it's obviously we started with the Hybrid Circle like very early on in the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, you know, all the Scandinavian countries, like, you know, are very good at competition as well. And it's still like, you know, you're not like, you know, there's no real prohibition in Norway, but it's very much restricted. There's only like these state-owned places where you can buy alcohol. So would you say that, like, you know, this kind of restriction is actually, like, you know, enabling the industry to work more closely with bartenders, and is forced, like, you know, since you're not really allowed to make promotion for alcohol, right?
Well, that's the great thing about being a bartender in Norway. Like, we do have all these restrictions, and some of them are like, yeah, don't want to get into it. But as a bartender, the only way a spirit brand can get out there and promote themselves is through bartenders. So we get a lot of education, we get competitions, and we get to travel, because their marketing budget has to go in. A lot of it has, well, I don't know, I haven't seen the budgets, but we are so fortunate because we get a lot of knowledge and travels, because it's the only way they can market themselves. They can't do it, no ads, no nothing, no nothing.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And for me, like, you know, I would say, obviously, like, you know, it used to be like, you know, in the 80s, 90s, it was still like, you know, race cars was like, you know, promoting cigarettes and alcohol, right? And today's time, there would be like, you know, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you know, no way we're gonna do this, right? So it's gonna be always like, you know, probably like, I would say you're just like ahead of like what we do in Europe right now. It's really like, you know, focusing more on like, you know, the point of sale, where we can, like, you know, actually influence the person who's doing the sale, right? So I guess that you kind of like, you know, are very lucky in that kind of situation. Would you say that, like, you know, the spirit industry is doing a good job at, like, you know, interacting and doing, like, you know, education?
Yes, in Norway they are. I can only speak for Norway, but definitely, like, and we have amazing reps for all sorts of spirit companies here, and they're very helpful. I feel like we work together, and they give very important, good knowledge in courses and stuff for us, and especially for the younger bartenders. Like, I always have new stuff to learn, but we had a whiskey tasting actually with Creselius this winter, and I got a lot of very, very young bartenders in, and it was Mario who did it, and I just asked him, like, can you do the very basics, because these guys they have no knowledge they haven't even tasted whiskey, and he just banged it out. Like, I was so impressed. And these kids, they were like, you know, tasting different whiskeys, and they're like, wow, you know, that kind of experience. And yeah, the spirit company gave it to them. Yeah, and I can just ask, can you do it this way or that way? Because that's going to fit my.
So, I mean, actually, probably like that is like one thing here. Usually, brand representatives are more like, you know, sales focused and education later. That's like, you know, the role of brand ambassadors, kind of like, you know, who is doing this and, or it is still like, you know, second or third like option, but usually it's more like promoting and like, you know, selling. That's the main focus here. It definitely is. Like as you just described it, like, you know, representative for like, you know, a distributor who is knowledgeable and like really like, you know, and flexible, because his knowledge is so, you know, natural and really is like, you know, deep. That would be a dream here. Probably, yeah.
Well, I sell better the more knowledge I have, and I can impress my guest. And I used to work with one of my friends, and he would just get freaking a new bottle on the back bar every week, not telling me what it was. And whenever I came to work, I was so busy. I don't have time to go and taste it. I don't know the cost. I don't know how to use it. I don't know anything. So I told him, like, I understand that this is something you love doing, but it's dead stock. So whenever I have a bottle on the back bar that I know nothing about, I'm not going to touch it. So the more knowledge I have about something, the more I use it.
Absolutely, yeah. And for me, it's always like, you know, this kind of, I mean, that's a beautiful thing about spirits. It's like that even the, like, you know, the, I mean, most known spirit still has something like, you know, least expected, you know, fact to it. That's me what makes working with spirits so exciting, that we even like, you know, I mean, the people were always like, you know, kind of, obviously one of the first like, you know, gin brands was like, you know, that is prestige. That was Bombay Sapphire, right? And it was made, you know, at a distillery called Greenells, right? So, and it was just like, it was a very good distillery, and they're doing like, you know, splendid stuff, but obviously it's one not a real brand, like, you know, like Bombay Sapphire came to be, right? And so that was, for me, always like, you know, this kind of like, you know, in these stories which are told by marketing, and then you have like, you know, the reality, and coming to that level of like, you know, knowledge about like, you know, yes, I know these things. That was for me always like, that is what makes it exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from these kind of information is always taste. It's like, that makes it so, and I actually just realized that we kind of missed our like, you know, shot right now. That would have been a very good introduction to like, you know, drinking a shot. But I don't know if I want to force feed you a shot at like, you know, 9 o'clock in the morning. But
I will. No, I'll have a sip.
we go for the tiniest Jägermeister shot. A big announcement right now. Tess and I, we're doing our like, you know, third time interview. The beautiful thing about it is,
I have the neighbor's cat in my apartment. Sorry. Yeah, keep going.
we still have like, you know, things to tell to each other. That's like, that's a beautiful thing, and we're still coming up with new aspects and like, you know, trying to recycle things. We did say like, you know, on the first and second time that was like extensive. Like, you know, the first take was like 3 hours. So you missed out on that.
Just sit and talk and have drinks for like a weakness.
It's a nice thing. It's like, Tess actually, like, she prepared, like, to making a drink outside. Then the weather turned, like, to the worst. And so we were inside. And yeah, and now we just, like, now, obviously, to give the title of the show, like, this kind of meaning. And we just talked about it. So information, everything you might know or expect to know, and then the perception you got, and then being open for having a change in perception. Tess, it's so brilliant that you're spending so much time with us.
Yeah, I love it. Cheers.
For your health.
Mm. It's still good at like 9 in the morning, Nils.
The nice thing is, I mean, I just, like, I've seen it, he obviously took the bottle from the back bar, so it was warm. And I had, it was a couple of, like, weeks ago, I had a guy here, and I didn't have a frosted bottle of Jägermeister, so don't blame me. So we had a shot of warm Jägermeister. And his instant and natural reaction, I should have taped it because it was so beautiful, was like, yeah, let the herbs play around. So that was like, this kind of like, when you have an ice cold, it tastes so streamlined and focused, but it's beautiful. But he was savoring this kind of like, overabundant and unstructured, like, what's happening in your mouth. And it was so cool because it was for him, I mean, was a bit older guy. So he was not brainwashed, he was not working in the industry, but he was like so enjoying. And it definitely was not a perfect serve, but he was enjoying it. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
So Campbell, we just did not really like the perfect serve, but we definitely enjoyed it. So
yeah, it's the perfect serve for him.
that is like yeah. I mean, honestly, that's like the biggest challenge to for marketing. I would say, like, obviously cooling something down minus 18 degrees is not really like the epitome of promoting quality, right? So that is like the biggest challenge to kind of make it like that people realize it's just a difference. It's a focusing of like these tastes, and makes it easier to consume.
Yeah, what happened? Like the most mind-blowing thing that I had with Jägermeister was when we went to visit the distillery, and we got to try.
Around 5 years ago, exactly this time of the year.
Exactly 5 years ago, and we got to try all the components and all the macerations in different glasses.
Yeah.
And I was like, bloody hell. This amargo, like I would totally have that on my back bar. I was like, why don't you just bottle that? And then the citrus orange component, I was like, this is like beautiful. And why don't you bottle that? I'll put that on my back bar. Yeah.
That's like obviously the richness. I mean that makes like my job so kind of exciting, is that the people like they do have this like on the one hand always is kind of like very big brand, loud marketing, and on the other hand you have this kind of like product which by recipe and design is set up to kind of like be at its least offensive. Mm-hmm. Kind of like where we have like an overabundance of character. You see like the macerates and the elixir, and then you have like this caramel and sugar damping everything down, so that you still have so much taste, but it is like more subdued. And then we come like on top of this, we have this kind of like perfect serve, minus 18, where it becomes more like change, and it really is easy to drink. That's for sure, right? And so that makes it perfect. like, you know, in terms of like, you know, yeah, I mean, when you have an ice cold shot and someone like after 5 minutes goes like, hey, what about the next one? And you go like, yeah, sure, boom. So it's kind of like, you know, open up the doors, like, you know, for like, you know, doing stupid things. That's like, that's perfect. But it's kind of like, you know, what we have to realize, and I know that is like difficult to, like, you know, find the right words for it, is obviously the design of, like, you know, a herbal liquor, like, you know, and at that time was really like more like a medicinal, like, you know, digestive, obviously, which is kind of like, you know, in today's times, like, you know, in political correctness, you're not saying like, you know, hey, we created alcohol to help you. That's more like, you know, yeah, sure enough, like, you know, can we do it again? So it's kind of like difficult, but for me, like, you know, the nice thing is that, like, you know, people do have definitely a picture and a perception of Jägermeister, and what we can do is, like, you know, show them something, like, you know, incorporating in a drink where they go like, all right, so that was a drink with Jägermeister, and they go like, all right, haven't expected that. So that's nice to play around with, that's for sure. Yeah,
it's very versatile, very, very versatile. Because when I first got asked to join the Habano circle, I actually said no, because I was like, I've broken up with Jägermeister. I've had it way too much. Just I cannot. I cannot drink it anymore. And then they're like, oh, come on. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And then I started actively working with it. And now we're friends again. But it was London, bartending in London. That's why Jägermeister and myself had a break. Yeah. That was too much.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, obviously, like, you know, you came, like, you know, onto the scene, like, you know, where Jägermeister in London, it was not like, you know, a brand build how we do it today. It was more like, you know, an explosion, uncontrolled, like, you know, yeah, Red Bull, boom, we can do a train. That's it. So yeah, definitely kind of. I mean, that was the reason why we actually. I mean, what you just said is like, for me, you are as a perfect example whom we want to have in the Obiter circle. Like, you know, someone who's kind of critical about it. We don't need, like, you know, fans, like, you know, in, you know, for Jägermeister. Obviously, it's always helpful when you, like, you know, are friends with the product and you can promote it. But we definitely need someone who's kind of critical and, like, you know, is not, you know, it's not questioning what we're doing. So
yeah, yeah, I'm really happy I said yes. I learned a lot, and also it's how, like, it really depends which glasses you put on. Like, I have my bartender glasses, I have my outdoorsy Tessa glasses. I have different glasses, and sometimes it's cool to just switch them around.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and I used, like when Jägermeister and myself broke up, like, it's like with any ex, it's like, I used to love you, but now we really hit a point where we've got to take a break. and sometimes afterwards,
Not your fault. It's not about you. It's not your fault. It's okay.
yeah, it's a me thing. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think it's a shame because a lot of people have that experience with different products. It's like, and people don't know. I very often take tequila as an example. When someone comes to the bar and they're like, oh, make me something good, because they don't know what they want. And I ask them what kind of spirits they want, and they don't even know that very often.
It's the best, like, you know, what you're just describing is the best, like, you know, example for me is how difficult taste is, because they usually never, you ask them what they want, and they always tell you what they don't like.
Yeah,
but it's so hard for a consumer, for a guest, to actually come up not with just, like, you know,
yeah,
easiest answer would have been, I go for a bourbon drink. I go for like a smoky, whatever. Like, you know, I do like classic aperitif style drinks, right? Whatever. It would have been like, you know, easy. Even with like, you know, most remote knowledge. But what they usually do is like they go for, I don't like bananas. I don't like coconut.
Perfect.
No cream at all.
Yeah.
Or best of all, no eggs. Like, you know, oh, no eggs. Like, you know, yeah, come on, seriously, I haven't offered you an omelette. Like, you know, what the fuck? Like, you know, come on.
Yeah. But I very often challenge him. And it's very often in gin, because people think that gin is gin and tonics, and a lot of people don't like tonic water.
Yeah.
So when I ask the question what they don't like, very often gin comes up. And I'm like, I am going to make you something with gin. I've even had that with Jägermeister. People are like, oh no, don't worry. Yeah, I got so sick once. I was like, you're having Jägermeister in your drink. And I tell them, if you don't like it, I will throw it away and make you something else. And 98% of the time, they're like, that's good. Yeah.
But I guess, like, you know, that's it. For me, it's always like the like, you know, the aspect of bartending is like, the two most important things for me is like, you know, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, we are in, like, you know, while providing service, we're still producing something. That's the most beautiful thing about being a bartender. It's like, you know, what we do serve, we do produce.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, apart from champagne or, like, you know, whiskey or whatever. But, like, you know, apart from that, we are creating things. That's like what makes it so beautiful. That definitely is. That's for me, like, you know, why I'm still, like, you know, in love with what I'm doing. So
yeah,
that is.
It is a great job.
And there's kind of like a surprise, or, like, you know, building, like, you know, on the trust people give you, and then, like, you know, give them a positive, like, you know, experience. That's probably the essence of, like, working as a bartender. So I really enjoyed that, like what you just, like, described.
Yeah.
But obviously it helps when you got a very sunny, you know, disposition, and your personality, like, you know, makes people, like, you know, trust you.
Yeah. I'm so evil and dark inside.
There's an evil laughter, like the Joker would have been, like, you know, jealous the moment you started laughing, like, you know, yeah. Yeah. You just walked in my trap. Come on. No, I mean, for me, Tess.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that you, like, you know, provided so much of your spare time.
No worries. We have some of that these days. Right now, my friends are texting me. They're like, get your boat on the car. Let's get going. And I have a lot of paperwork today. So luckily the sun doesn't set. I can work until tomorrow.
Yeah, you can get kayaking and, like, you know, 11 at night, like, you know.
Yeah, well, I can actually, yeah.
That's freaking cool. So no, I mean, really, like, you know, appreciate that, like, you know, our part, you know, of this, and hopefully, like, you know, we stay in touch, and I really enjoyed it, and hopefully soon, you know, see you in person, and the time when you've been to the, you know, Jägermeister, you know, production facility and the guest house, it is renovated now. Like, you know, the guest house looks totally different. So it would be a nice thing to have you over again. Really.
Yeah, buddy, and hopefully this corona shite is so that I can give you a hug. No more social distancing.
Yeah, I mean, right now it always kind of, like, you know, feels awkward. Like, you know, it's like, you know, sometimes you have this when you meet people for the first time. You have this kind of, like, you know, how do we speak and talk together? Do we, like, you know, are we on the formal, like, you know, Sie in German language, or are we on, like, you know, more informal you? Like, you know, these things, and that is, like, you know, right now you have that even with close acquaintance or friends. You're meeting and you go, like, you know,
yeah, I just want to do this. Like,
and everyone goes, like, you know, yeah, I'm talking to you, and you go, like, you know, talking to the wind, like, somewhere, and you feel like, you know, oh, come on, seriously.
I can't wait for it to be over.
Yeah. That's for sure. No, it was lovely to have you, Tess. And really, like, the people, like, who, like, stayed with us for that long time, you don't know how much time we actually, talked. It was really like, with Tess becomes so natural. I can just have a conversation, even, via this very long distance and via Zoom. So it was really like so comforting to have so many, like, similarities in how we were, like, started bartending, like, though I'm, like, obviously longer working as a bartender than you do, but it still feels like, we're coming out of the same time. So it's really nice. And I really have, like, this kind of, like, appreciation of all things, like, coming from, like, the Nordic countries, because they're so different on the one hand. On the other hand, they're very similar to German culture as well. But then again, like, what I do appreciate is, like, this kind of focus on knowledge and expertise and how you spread the word around. And that really is one of the best and most vibrant bar communities I experienced all over. It's definitely coming from the Scandinavian country. So
thank you. I'm going to take that forwards to my colleagues. You work.
Like, and I hope people are getting interested into, like, coming over, like, once traveling, like, becomes easier again, like, and see, like, I mean, the beautiful thing is, like, obviously people do expect something outrageously beautiful, like, in the bar industry when they go to London or New York. And the beautiful thing is, like, that when you talk about a small place, like, Warsaw, like, Bergen, Trondheim, like, which are not like the capital, and even like Oslo is like a very small, like, big city compared to, like, other places. And the people don't expect this kind of, like, world-class level of expertise and knowledge. And, like, for me, for example, like, it's not necessarily on spirits, but for example, on wines, when you go to these kind of, like, Brandevin stores, whatever the name is, like, they're, like, these kind of state-run, like, spirit stores, like, that do have some of the best kind of, like, salespeople, like, they're just, like, where you would say, like, come on, it looks like a fucking supermarket, right? I mean, we're not talking about, like, the Berry Brothers and Rot, like, like, in London, or like the kind of, like, like others, like, specialty shops. It really looks like a supermarket.
Yeah.
But people are so knowledgeable. They're, like, really, like, they're helping. It's not like, that they just go, like, yeah, we do have, like, this, specific grape over there, and we do have another grape where we have to use this countries, whatever. They're more going, like, you could ask, like, hey, I'm doing fish.
Exactly.
I don't like, I don't like Californian or whatever. Like, I'm really going more for what do you have, and they would come up with something.
Yeah.
And they would not just go, like, hey, I'm doing fish. They would ask you, what kind of fish and how do you prepare it? So it would be like the extent of really knowledge. It's more like a sommelier actually, like, telling you, hey, I have something for you, right? That's a beautiful thing.
The people working at the Wine Monopoly, they've been voted the best service and knowledge in Norway year after year after year. So yeah, they really know their stuff, both food and wine. They're not too good on spirits yet, but they're really improving.
Yeah.
No akvavit. But yeah, there's a lot of akvavit in our monopolies.
Yeah, definitely. No, but I mean, that's like, hopefully the people are interested in Norway, they are interested in going to, like, smaller places even, and are open for, like, the one or two pearls, like, where they actually go, like, all right, that's a nice bar. That would be, I think, like, for us all, an enrichment of our life. So Tess, thanks again, and I wish you the best day kayaking.
Yeah, like the rivers are getting higher and higher, and I'm getting more and more scared. Like I was upside down so much yesterday. But
you're wearing a helmet, right?
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't sit here if I didn't wear a helmet.
Can you do like, a 360 roll, like,
I can.
So once you, like, flipped over, you can, like, pull yourself up.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
So, and how often do you have to abandon your boat, like, because you can't get up again?
It has only been a couple of times now over the last few years. It's when I don't like it. I get scared when I have to pull myself out of the boat. There's rocks and yeah. But yeah, no, hopefully I'm avoiding that as much as I can.
I mean, people are probably like, they don't have a picture like right now. It's really like, the rivers Tess is like, kayaking on. It looks like, Red Bull gone wild, right? She could do a video for that, right? Like white water rafting. It really is like, and me, I did that, like, until a couple of years ago. And it's the scariest thing ever because water is so fucking powerful. Like, when you feel like, you're on top of your game and everything. And obviously I'm an old man now, but when I was younger, I was like, I was lean, mean, one-man fighting machine, right? So I wasn't scared of anything, right? So that was like, 85 kilograms of pristine power, right? But water,
Yeah.
it's like fucking beats you up.
Yeah, it does.
Like nothing. And it really is like you are so fucking helpless. And it's like when you're just like once pushed with your boat against like one of these rocks,
yeah.
And you can't move and you can't get off. And it's just so fucking scary. And it's like, and you're trying like, and even you're not submerged, like, so you can breathe and everything, but you just go like, I want to get away from here. And you can't. It's just like, it's pressing you against it and you can't move. And it's so freaking out.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
But I mean, you kind of like, the beautiful thing is, obviously, you can do kayaking. Like, it's always helpful when you have like, nice weather. But since the water is cold anyway, you always got to wear like, some, neoprene, like, to kind of like, keep you warm because it really is fucking cold.
I'll show you. I just chucked my gears on the floor. But yeah, I wear a lot. I wear a lot of gear.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, it really is like, because you're, obviously it's water, it's like, you're really exposed and you're getting cold so quickly. But it's for me, it's like, it definitely is one of the best sports ever because it's just.
The best drinks I had was with my boyfriend quite a few years ago. We were paddling down this stretch that was very hard for me. And then we were sitting at the takeout and he pulls out of his life jacket a small bottle of gin. So we have like a sip of gin and river water and a sip of gin and river water. The best cocktail I've ever had.
That sounds like a reward, that's for sure. Definitely. Yeah, but I mean, it's like, I hopefully like, you're going to have one of the best days and can enjoy like, I mean, it looks like it's kind of sunny today, but it's probably like,
it's not snowing and we have summer now.
So now it's 15 degrees.
No, actually it's 23.
Wow.
No, I'm lying. I'm lying. It's 17. Sorry. It was inside it's 23, outside it's 17. But it's pretty warm.
That's like high summer in Norway. So once you get 23, that would be like, Sahara visiting.
Yeah. Pretty much. It was very hot yesterday. 20.
All right, good. Yeah. I get it. So, I mean, here it is like getting today. It's really like one of the first day of summer. It's like 23 degrees we are expecting here. So, yeah.
Nice.
It's shining. Yeah, perfect. Pretty cool. Perfect.
So, I'm going to go kayaking, Nils.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure always. Like, and hopefully see you soon. Right?
See you soon. Thank you so much. It's a great start of the day. We should just do this every day. Hey, Nils, how are you today? See ya.
Yes, perfect. Tess, take care, right? And have a good day.
Bye, guys.